Imagine someone doing everything right with their money. They earn a decent income. They set aside a fixed amount every single month. They chose a reliable, diversified fund. They don't panic when markets dip. They don't chase trends. 5 years later, they check their account. They've personally deposited $30,000. The investment growth on top of that? About $6,700. 5 years. Consistent discipline. $6,700 in returns. That number isn't wrong. That number isn't a failure. But it is the number that personal finance content almost never shows you, and not showing it is causing real damage to how people think about building wealth. Today, we're going to look at the full picture. The math, year by year. The turning point that changes everything. And what you can actually do to get there faster. The chart they show you. If you've spent any time watching financial content, you've seen the compound interest curve. It starts almost flat. Then, somewhere in the middle, it bends upward. And by the end, it's nearly vertical, a dramatic rise that represents decades of growth stacking on top of growth. The message is always the same: start early, stay consistent, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. That advice isn't wrong. But there's a critical detail missing from every version of that chart. It never shows you where you are on the curve right now. It jumps from year 1 to year 30 and lets you assume the magic is already working. For most people, in the early years, it isn't. Not in any meaningful way. Here's what that curve actually looks like up close. The real numbers, early years. Let's use a straightforward scenario. $500 invested every month. An average annual return of 8%. No fees, no taxes for simplicity, just the math. 1. You contribute $6,000. The market adds roughly $225. Total balance, $6,225. The market's contribution, about 3.6% of your portfolio. Year 2, another $6,000 from you. The market adds around $740. Total growth after 2 years, just under $1,000. Year 3, total gains now sit at about $2,300. You could have earned that in 2 weeks at most jobs. Year 5, you've put in $30,000. The market has added approximately $6,700. 82% of your portfolio is money you physically transferred in. Only 18% came from growth. At this stage, you are doing the work. The compounding is along for the ride, but it hasn't taken the wheel yet. This is the part that makes people quietly give up. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just, they stop seeing the point. You've sacrificed real money every month. You've made real trade-offs. And the reward feels almost invisible. That feeling makes sense. But it's based on an incomplete understanding of how this process actually works. Meet David. Let's give this a face. David is 27. He works in logistics, earning about $52,000 a year. After taxes, he takes home close to $3,400 a month. He's read the books. He's watched the videos. He understands the principle. So he commits $500 a month, automated, into a broad index fund. For someone at his income level, that's nearly 15% of his take-home pay. He's cutting back on things that matter to him. He's being deliberate. Let's follow him, year by year. Year 1, balance, $6,225. The market contributed $225. That's $18 per month of passive income. Less than a basic streaming subscription. Year 3, balance, $2,500. Total gains, around $2,300. David has been investing for 3 years. The compounding has added less than he earns in a typical 2-week pay period. Year 5, balance, $36,700. He's deposited $30,000. The market has added $6,700. Still, over 80% of his wealth came from his own contributions. David is doing nothing wrong. The math is working exactly as it should. He just hasn't reached the part of the curve where the math starts working for him. The crossover point. Here's the concept that reframes everything. There is a specific year, a crossover point, when the annual return generated by your portfolio exceeds what you contribute that year. Before that crossing, you are the primary driver. Your monthly deposits do more than the market does. After that crossing, the portfolio becomes the driver. The market earns more in a single year than you add yourself. For David, investing $500 a month at 8% average returns, that crossover arrives at year 10. Year 10, balance, $91 $500 that year alone, the market adds roughly $6,800. David's annual contribution, $6,000. For the first time, his money earned more in a year than he deposited. The portfolio just outworked him. Now watch what happens from that point forward. Year 15, balance, $173,000 annual market gain, around $13,800. That's more than double his yearly contribution. His portfolio is now generating over $1,100 a month, without him depositing a single cent. Year 20, balance, $294 $500 total contributed by David, $120,000. Total added by the market, $174,500. For the first time, the majority of his wealth, 59%, was not earned at work. It was generated by the portfolio itself. Year 25, balance, $1 for $75 $500 the market contributes roughly $36,000 that year. David adds $6,000. He is no longer the engine. The money is building itself. Year 30, balance, $745 $000 David has personally contributed $180,000 over 3 decades. The market has added approximately $565,000. 76% of his wealth came from compounding. His money generated more than triple what he put in. That is the compound interest chart everyone shows you. The finish line. But they skipped the decade David spent getting there. Why the early years are the most dangerous? Here's the hard reality. People never reach the crossover uninterrupted. Not because they lack commitment. Because life is expensive, and emergencies don't check your investment timeline before they arrive. Let's run David's numbers again, with one change. In year 4, something happens. A car repair. A medical expense. He withdraws $8,000 from his portfolio to cover it. Just once. Just $8,000. Without that withdrawal, crossover at year 10. With that withdrawal, crossover pushed to year 11. By year 20, that single $8,000 withdrawal has cost him nearly $29,000 in lost growth. By year 30, the total cost of that one decision, over $63,000. An $8,000 emergency becomes a $63,000 loss, not because the market punished him, but because he reduced the base at the exact moment when every dollar in the account was doing its most important quiet work. This is the pattern behind the savings statistics that never get easier to read. Millions of people invested consistently for decades. But between emergencies, career disruptions, and the rising cost of living, they spent most of their investing lives on the flat section of the curve, and then began withdrawing just as the math was about to accelerate. 3 things that actually help. So, if the crossover is the target, what actually moves you toward it faster? 1. Your income is your most powerful variable. In the early years, the difference between contributing $500 a month and $700 a month matters more than any investment strategy. At $500 a month, David reaches roughly $294,500 by year 20. At $700 a month, he reaches approximately $412,000. That's a $117,000 difference, not from picking better investments, not from timing anything. Just from an extra $200 a month. A modest raise. A small freelance income. One skill that made him more hireable. Before the crossover, growing your income does more for your outcome than any amount of expense cutting. You cannot budget your way across a six-figure gap. Protect your investment base like it's infrastructure. We just saw what one emergency withdrawal does over 30 years. $63,000 gone. An emergency fund isn't a bonus feature of good financial management. It's the barrier that keeps your investment account intact during the years it's most vulnerable. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, held in cash, separate from your investments. Unexciting. Absolutely essential. It's the thing that keeps you from resetting the clock every time life gets complicated. Track the right milestones. The compound interest charts that circulate online are designed to show you the destination. They show the steep climb at the end. They don't show the long, flat stretch you have to walk through to get there. Stop measuring your progress against the end of the curve. Instead, track what actually matters in the early years: your savings rate, your total balance in real numbers, how close you are to your own crossover point. Mark your milestones: $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, $50,000. Not because compounding is dramatically transforming those balances yet, but because every dollar you accumulate is reducing the distance between you and the point where it will. Think of it as building a runway. The plane doesn't lift off at the beginning. It lifts off at the end. But every meter of pavement you lay down is necessary, because a runway that's too short means the plane never leaves the ground at all. The bigger picture. Compounding is real. Over a full investing lifetime, it genuinely is one of the most powerful forces in personal wealth building. But it isn't instant. And it isn't equal. The larger your base, the harder it works for you. The smaller your base, the more invisible it feels. That's not a design flaw in the system, it's just the arithmetic of percentages. Going in with that understanding changes everything. It means you won't be blindsided when year 3 delivers growth that feels almost insulting. It means you won't interpret the flat years as evidence that you're doing something wrong. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're in the part of the process that doesn't make good content, because it's quiet, slow, and requires patience without much visible reward. You're building the runway. And the runway is what makes everything after it possible. If you're in those early years right now, keep going. Grow your income where you can. Guard your investment account. Stack your milestones. The crossover is real. You know exactly what it is, when it arrives, and what it takes to reach it. If this gave you a clearer picture of how compounding actually works, not the version they sell, but the version that plays out in real life, then this channel is for you. We break down personal finance the way it actually works, with real numbers and honest timelines, so you can make decisions based on the full picture. Subscribe if you want more of that. And I'll see you in the next one.